All right. Well, thanks to everyone for joining us for our virtual annual meeting. Um, Obviously, it's been a weird year, so this is not our first choice by any means. But like I mentioned, at noon we had a really nice session and good talk with folks, and we're looking forward to do it again and show you all what we've been working on during this interesting year and how we're trying to make the best of it and how we're going forward here in 2021. So we'll jump right in. Let me just make sure to have control, Hannah.
Mm-hmm. You should.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. Now you do.
There we go. Did I jump slides? Yeah, okay. There we go. All right, there's me. I'm Wade. I'm the executive director of Upper Sugar River. So I'll be just kind of going over, first off, it's always good to know where we're at, where is the watershed. We'll talk about our organization as a whole, and we'll talk about some of the programs that we have going on. And like I mentioned, we'll have Matt and Hannah join in as well, talking about some of their programs and give you kind of a quick snapshot flavor of everything we've been working on. So I'd like to start off kind of from big picture and zoom on in into our watershed. This is the watersheds of Wisconsin, kind of the big watersheds that exist in our state. So you can see down in the lower central part of the state, southern central, you have the Sugar River, and we join up with the Pecatonica. So as the Sugar River flows, starting in Mount Horeb, that's the upper portion, as it flows all the way into northern Illinois. It joins up with the Pecatonica watershed, and then they can join to be one in Illinois before they finally reach the Rock River and then ultimately the Mississippi River. And we'll go to the next slide here, and can I give you this is from our friends at Lower Sugar River Watershed Association. This is one of their maps, but kind of get a sense of the Sugar River watershed as a whole. This makes up about 500,000 acres, so 500,000 acres, fairly sizable watershed. Our little piece up at the top, we're the upper, our little piece makes up about 110,000 of those acres. So we're the smallest of the bunch here. So there's you see the upper watershed, the middle, and then the lower. So we're the smallest piece of this pie here, but that being said, we're also the most diverse. The 500,000 acres total of the Sugar River watershed, almost all of it is in ag. In fact, 80% of it is in agricultural land. So whereas our watershed is 50% ag, we have a lot more urban influence. In fact, with that whole watershed going from Mount Horeb all the way down to Illinois, the city of Madison actually makes up the most people. So that municipality brings in the most people of any city anywhere in the Sugar River watershed as a whole, and Verona is the second biggest. So we contribute definitely the most people of the three pieces of the Sugar River watershed. So talking about just who we are in general. Oh, I totally forgot. Let's do our poll question. I ran through this in the first.
Sounds good, Wade. I got it. Poll question number 1. What Upper Sugar programs and events have you participated in? So take a moment, and that should pop up. If anyone can see the poll, give a thumbs up or type in the chat. You can see it. Go ahead and vote. I don't see any votes coming in quite yet, but click on some of our programs. Open houses. All right, people are voting. It works.
Good way to get a little used to the Zoom here. It'll take a few more seconds here. I can't see the poll, Matt, so you'll have to let us know.
Sure.
What the results are.
We'll give it a 1 minute. So we got about 20 seconds left. And we have 81%, 90% of people have voted. So we're going to go ahead and do it now. And here we go. So sharing the results of this poll. Kind of diverse. 7 out of 10 had been to a spring annual meeting. I guess that's this right now, right, too? So everybody could click that one. 4 people have been to Rob's Sugar Ramble. 3 have been to the citizen science parts of the program, Dragonfly, wave, and muscle monitoring. 6 for the fall open house. 0 for the interactive watershed trails so far. We would encourage you to do that. 4 for conservations about conservation. I can't ever say that. 0 for invasive species wetland monitoring days, and 7 out of 10 for Sugar River wetland work days.
Terrific. That's great. So, and we'll talk about all those things today. So we'll give you a little snapshot of each one if you want to get involved later on. I'll jump back in. We're just talking about kind of who we are as an organization here, and I'll read our mission to you because it's the most important part of an organization, having a mission. Our mission today is provide leadership for continuous resource improvement through strategic partnerships that benefit the watershed's land, water, and people. That mission to me kind of means a couple things. As an organization, we try and do everything we can to benefit the health of this watershed, no matter how, whether it be education programs or doing actual on the ground work. That's our goal. We want to be able to lead all of those things. But if there's instances where we cannot do it alone, it's important that we have those strong partnerships. So if we can't do it by ourselves, we're going to find someone who can, essentially. Now that mission was created back in 2013, and that's about when I started here at Upper Sugar. And so it's getting a little old. So this, in the last 12 months or so, we've took part in a new strategic plan. And this is, we haven't approved this yet, but this is one of our new missions that we're kicking around. And I'll read this out loud too. We protect and restore natural resources and cultivate relationships between the natural environment and diverse communities in the Upper Sugar River watershed and surrounding areas. So there's a couple key differences there that I see. One of which is protecting and restoring natural resources is a multi-pronged approach. And one of those is education, and involving the natural environment with diverse communities is one thing that we wanted to add to our mission, because we just didn't think we were doing a good enough job at involving groups that traditionally haven't had access, or it hasn't been as easy to connect with the natural environment. That's one thing we really want to work on. And that's really the only way we can make a huge impact, because if we're always preaching to the choir, or people that are actively interested, we're missing all those folks that maybe didn't know they might be interested, or just weren't exposed to it in the first place. So that's one area we really want to work on. The second part that's different is the surrounding areas part, and this is where Matt and Hannah are gonna help out with that. And there's, even though we are the Upper Sugar River Watershed Association, it's a few times when we're gonna go outside of our area and help out on more of a regional level, including Matt's work with invasive species, and Hannah has a group, an invasive species project group as well that she's going to tell you about. But at our core, we are, of course, the Upper Sugar River Watershed Association working in this watershed. So this is our team. We have Matt, he's our invasive species program coordinator. Hannah, our volunteer coordinator. Both came on board back in July 2019. Hannah actually interned with us a little before that. And then I've been around since about 2014. I've started as director in 2014, so I've been around a little bit longer, but it's great having a wonderful team at our disposal to get all this work done. And you can see here kind of how the organization's ramped up over the years. Mentioned here the 2 full-time staff with a part-time staff, that's Hannah. And then we're also hiring clean boats, clean water staff this year, for this summer. That's something we're actively doing in the next few weeks. So Matt will touch on the Clean Boats, Clean Waters program. Right now we have a board of 7 folks, and I would encourage all of you to check out our website in the About Us area and see some of the bios of both staff and board. We have a really talented group helping out with this organization, and you can see that we're growing quite a bit. The last 4 years we've grown exponentially, really, and it helps to have all these talented folks to help out. So I'll hit on a few of the programs that I more so head up. Matt and Hannah will touch on their projects, but I'll touch on some of the ones that I that I work with, one of which being Farmers for the Upper Sugar River. We have our lead farmer on the call with us tonight, Brian Brown, and he usually gives a short talk at all of our annual meetings. And I know people really enjoy that and asking questions. So you'll have to put up with me and my synopsis of the group tonight. But you can see from the chart here, today we have 51 farmers in our group. We started with just a handful back in 2016. Those 51 farmers represent now almost 20% of all agricultural acres in the watershed. We're really proud of that. I think it's a really it's a big feat to start a group from really from scratch and make such a big impact on the watershed in a short amount of time. There we go. Here's the next slide. Give you some pictures of kind of what we do. You see some of those field days. There's annual meeting up in the upper left. One thing I will direct your attention to is the sign in the bottom right or bottom left. We're going to be making some of these signs and putting them out on the farms that are members of the Farmers for the Upper Sugar River. So as you drive around the watershed in the next few months, be on the lookout for some of those signs. We're hoping to kind of educate some of the non-farmers that are driving around that, hey, we're doing something about it. We're stakeholders. We take pride in this watershed too. And we're trying to recruit more farmers that may not be part of us quite yet and try and do some recruiting that way. So kind of a multi-pronged approach there. One other area that I work with, and I know a few of you on this call have volunteered these days, are some of our prairie restoration days. We've been doing this since 2016 as the partnership through DNR. I think we've had over 300 unique volunteers come to one of these work days. So we've impacted a lot of different people. Our next work day actually is going to be usually these have been at Sugar River wetlands, and we've made a huge, like just physically, just an enormous impact at this property. But reaching all 300 of those people over the course of the 5 years, I think has been just educationally almost more valuable than the work that we've gotten done. I will put a plug in for our next work day, which is not at Sugar River wetlands. It's actually our first time out at the Madison School Forest or Olson Oakwood State Natural Area, as the DNR would call their piece of it. That's from 9 to noon on March 26th. Traditionally, we try and work on the 4th Saturdays of each month. So you can usually set your calendar to that, although we take a few months off here and there as well. So we'd love to have you out. We're going to be removing some invasive buckthorn and honeysuckle, and then we'll be setting some fire breaks actually, so because DNR plans on doing a prescribed burn there later this year. So it should be a lot of fun.
Hey, Wade, March 26th is a Friday.
Is it really? It sure is. Oh, is that Kelly? All right. 27th, March 27th. Okay. Well, see, none of those 5th graders at noon caught me on that mistake. So I'm glad you caught me. March 27th. Yep, sorry about that. Good catch. All right, and then I'll just touch briefly on some of our cornerstone events that we have here. Hannah will touch on the Watershed Explorer series, but we also have conversations about conservation, which has been a lot of fun to do in person at Wisconsin Brewing Company, although this year, of course, we're doing that by Zoom. Our next event for that is on March, I will double check, is on March 23rd. That's a Tuesday night at 6:30. And we'll be talking all about our interactive watershed trail, which Hannah will also be talking about. So it'll be a fun night to kind of talk about how those trails came together. And then also our Sugar River Ramble event. It's our big fundraiser of the year, half biking, half paddling. It's a lot of fun. We're hoping that takes place in August, although we have not set a date yet. So check back the next few weeks for that. So that's the end of my slides, but we have a little bit of a poll question break here. We have this interesting plant here that is, it's kind of all over the watershed. It has a lot of very unique attributes to it. Somewhat of a distinct smell. So maybe if we have the poll, I'm not sure if we can. We have the
Poll is
or
up.
not.
I have got 3 votes in. It's exothermic. It's from Alpha Centauri. No, it's not. It's from the wetlands near you.
So take a moment to vote on that.
We're at 6 of 12 right now, 50%. We'll give it another 20 seconds here for 1 minute. Numbers are climbing. The correct answers are climbing. The incorrect answers are present. So, okay, thanks. So
Yeah.
here we go. It is in fact skunk cabbage. If you said skunk cabbage, give yourself a big stinky high five.
I probably gave it away with the smell part of it, but that is one big component of the plant. So it produces quite the distinct smell, which actually attracts pollinators. So it allows them to complete their reproduction cycle from that perspective. And then they also create heat. So they're like little furnaces. And in the winter, you can actually see the snow cleared around them, or make almost little homes by clearing the snow around them, because they actually create heat underground. So they're really unique in a number of ways, and they're one of the first plants to come out every spring. So keep an eye out. They're really pretty cool plants. So I'll pass the baton over to Matt, and he will talk about some of his programs.
Thanks, Wade. My name is Matt. As I was introduced, I do get to coordinate the programs here that involve both aquatic and terrestrial invasive species. What's great about this program is we're able to have a whole regional impact. That was part of the new mission as laid out. So we accepted some grants from the DNR to do this work in a big area, and we're currently serving 9 counties, as you can see at the bottom. That will be dropping to 7 counties here as of April 1st. In this time serving all these counties, however, we've really made a lot of great connections, a lot of great partnerships between county staff, other nonprofits, and it's led, in fact, to SISMA creation, which is something that Hannah will get into in a little bit. Been a year for a pivot. In 2021, the hindsight of 2020 was, how can you do the same stuff online, or maybe refocus yourself to be effective when you can't meet and do the things the way that you used to be able to do. So do a lot of that as well. And we're building a resource page. We do have a YouTube channel that you can subscribe to check out our videos that we archive over time. And here's a list of some of the big programs that I head up. I'll get into them a bit more here as we go down the road. So next slide, please, Hannah. Thank you. So I love this picture of this family out hunting ducks up in Richland County. So that's Clean Boats, Clean Waters. We are hiring right now and had a good season last year, getting our staff and our volunteers, some of our board even, at landings to pass out information or just verbally share information about how to follow the law to clean your boat. It is drain your boat out, check your hunting buoys or your fishing lines, whatever it is. This family had never been contacted before, and they were quite receptive. I was out there with my dad that day, and you can see him pointing in that middle picture to some shotgun blasts. So we do put those signs out there. They get washed away, they get blasted, but we're always inventorying and updating that. We also do what's called organisms in trade work. You can see the Living Art Aquarium here on the west side of Madison. I'm there dropping off materials about how to make sure to prevent the spread of invasives by disposing properly of the waste from a aquarium, and just how to be a good steward. So don't dump the stuff in the waterways. You can rehome it, or you can find other ways to take care of it besides introducing it to the waters. Next slide, please. Big part of the job is verifying reports of invasive species, and we do a lot of partnership work with with the DNR and other nonprofits to find ways to get the word out to citizens so they can both report and maybe even control the stuff that's in their own backyard. We want that empowerment to happen. So you can see us collecting New Zealand mud snails, infested waters here. This is in Mount Vernon Creek, and we're doing that for a conservation dog project that I'll explain in a moment. I'm also on the lower Wisconsin. You can see my Chaco wool sock foot there holding a bouquet of purple loosestrife So we do have an interesting new biocontrol project, new to me, I guess. We've actually done it before in the watershed, where we'll raise these little beetles that will chew on this invasive wetland plant to help keep it from overtaking our natural areas and even pastures and agricultural kind of side parts. Next slide, please. As it says, we're getting all of our allies together, including the goats. You'll see we have a managed grazing project in Vernon County that I help coordinate. There's Betty White, the black lab, sniffing for New Zealand mud snails out of Midwest Conservation Dogs. And I'm also helping to, as I said, discover Phragmites populations, other invasive species populations in the watershed. This is me and some DNR staff out in the field trying to get our keys up and going so we can be definitive about what is native versus invasive species, in particular for Phragmites. Next slide, please. Phragmites is a tall grass. And so why invasive species? Why do we care? They have been, first of all, it's illegal to move them around. And most importantly, they're a serious threat to biodiversity in our area. And in the entire world, they're one of the top 3 up there with development and climate change. It's a big deal. And they're the bully species that don't let the other ones survive. They can push them out. So it's important that we get this message out and monitor. So you can see Snapshot Day here on the left, getting throw rakes out there looking for stuff. So clean your gear, I guess, and also, learn more about what's around you, and we're here to teach you that. So please come join us in some of our webinars and our field days. Finally, a shout out to Marina Steiner, who was our conservation outreach assistant last year. She did a great job in really hard times with COVID, remaining upbeat, remaining socially distant, but very effective in her communication at boat landings, as well as doing some great independent monitoring and reporting. Took the lead in a lot of projects as well. So I was really impressed with her work. She's not here today, but I want to thank her. I also want to thank our whole board because, like as I said earlier at the other meeting, Robert's like a whole other staff person, and he's just a volunteer. And that's true of almost all of our all of our board members. They're amazing. So thank you so much for all of your work as we grow. We do encourage those in the audience that might consider helping out with that, as always, to participate as well. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Hannah, and she can talk about our poll.
We're going to take a little break quick. And we had a professional photographer come and take photos of our watershed. And each staff member picked a favorite from his photos. And we're going to show them to you. And then you're going to vote on your favorite. There is a correct answer, just so you know. Just kidding. There's not. I can't get my mouse to work. Okay. This is Wade's favorite. Wade, why is this your favorite?
Unmute here. Yeah, this is in Vasco, on the Sugar River. There's a little bridge that goes over the river, and this is, I believe, a fall morning. So it just is cool to see kind of how the steam is rising off the river with the contrail on the top. It's just a neat picture. It's my desktop background, in fact.
This is Matt's favorite.
I also, after winning the polling this morning, changed this to my desktop. There's a correct answer, and it's Hannah's, obviously. But this picture is in Donald Park, and it represents the diversity and kind of the wonderful chaos of the river and of the intense growth right next to that corridor. And there's also a kind of oak in there, and I love oak trees. I think the conservation work that we do and the stewardship is helping to protect this really essential species through a really hard time. We're like a lifeboat getting it into all the wildfires come back in 100 years. But I just love this image of that contrast in the sky.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite. It's in Donald County Park, and it's I love how the fog just lies right below those trees, and I love being outside in the mornings when the sun's rising, and that's why I chose this one. And now you can launch that poll, Matt, and you will all vote on your favorite. Yes. We can go through them real quick once more.
Please do
Wade's,
vote. Let your heart decide.
Matt's, and mine.
They're all in the watersheds and they're all beautiful. So Hannah was right in the first time. There is in fact no correct answer.
No.
The only answer is that we got some great photography, I think. So that's
We have
wonderful to see.
There's a lot more. So we do recommend that you friend us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram if you want to keep seeing these photos pop up.
Okay, we're at 9 of 12, I think, and we're at about, I think we're going to give it just 10 more seconds if you really can't decide now. Just close your eyes and click on Hannah's. All right, but that being said, thank you for participating. And this time we had Wade got 1 vote. I got 5 votes, and Hannah got 3 votes. But all great pictures, and I think yeah, if we can share them with people, they're wonderful.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Okay. I'm Hannah. I'm the volunteer coordinator for Upper Sugar. This past year was wild. So a lot of these programs that we launched looked a little different than we originally wanted, but we got them off the ground, and it was really good. So last fall, we launched our Watershed Explorers series. We'd originally scheduled these. So what it is first, it was a series of 10 to 12 events that each highlighted a variety of topics, either in a unique area in the watershed or on some ecological theme, like pollinators. So we had planned out between 10 and 12, but because of the pandemic, only got to host 4, but they were a really great 4. They included a winter walk in Olson Oak Woods and a tour of a historical site in Verona, and a moonlit walk or hike, an Ice Age trail, and a pollinator event. The Friends of Dane County Parks funded this, so thank you to them. We're hoping to move some of the speakers that weren't able to join us into future events, so it's something to look for. Then we also launched the Interactive Watershed Trails, and this was a partnership with Dane County Parks. And together we created an outdoor learning and exploring experience at 2 parks in the watershed, one at Prairie Moraine County Park and one at Stewart Lake County Park. And at each of these parks, as you walk along the trail, you'll pass, I think there's 10 or 14 sites, depending on the park you're at. And at each of those sites, you can stop and listen to an audio file on an element of that site, whether it's the historical or ecological importance there. So for example, in Prairie Moraine, many of the sites follow along with geology and the glacier movements through the park. And you can do this in an app on your smartphone that'll prompt you that'll automatically load the audio as you walk past the site, or you can print out a map that we've created from the website and head on to these parks and read about those sites as you pass the signposts on the trail. It's a really fun way and a different way to explore these parks if you've been there before, because you're also learning about the history. And if you want to learn more about these, we're going to have the conversation about conservations next week. 2 of the really involved volunteers at each of these parks is going to come and share on the trail there. And then last summer, we relaunched our dragonfly monitoring in the Upper Sugar River watershed. It was a really successful summer. We had 8 volunteers on board. 3 of those were new volunteers that we trained. And with them, we covered 16 different sites, and we collected 112 different observations or occasions of going to a site. And throughout those 112 different site visits, we collected 580 different observations of dragonflies, which is really neat. And this data is used to understand the health of our watershed and the ponds in it. And then actually, we're going to go to this one first. Last fall, we also hosted our 2nd annual membership campaign. We had 108 new or returning members, which is exciting. The members are extremely important to the work that we do. They both in funding and just support of our mission and vision and our goals. So we thank you and we appreciate you. And if you're not a member, we recommend that you join today for a lot of fun, as you can tell from this meeting. Okay, and then in July, we launched a new initiative called it's called the SISMA. We are currently named the South Central Wisconsin SISMA. If you want to try to guess what a SISMA is, you can type that into the chat. I didn't know what it was until July, and no one this morning got it. So extra brownie points if you do get it. Or you can say it out loud.
And then don't worry, I'll get some stuff in the chat for links if you want to cheat here in a minute.
No guesses? That's okay. SISMA is, and I actually need to read it because I forget every time. It's a cooperative invasive species management area. And the goal of a SISMA is to bring together resources and volunteers and educational initiatives on managing invasive species in a region. So our SISMA is going to be a partnership and a network between 5 different Wisconsin counties: Dane, Iowa, Lafayette, Greene, and Sauk County. And our goal is to just, like I said, share expertise and resources. We're not aiming to duplicate work that is already being done for invasive species management. We're looking to consolidate it and make sure everybody has what they need, and that we're not working against each other as we all work towards this a better end result for no invasives. And so what we've done since July, we've had 3 stakeholder engagement meetings where we've planned and created some of our foundational documents from a memorandum of understanding that organizations can sign to show their official support. And we've created different explanations for levels of involvement that individuals or organizations can take on. And what else have we done? Oh, we created, so we will eventually launch a council, or a board is basically what it is. We created a position description for that. The council will just oversee the future of the SISMA and vote on things like mission, vision, bylaws, all the things you need to be a successful community group or nonprofit. You can learn more at the links in our website. There's quite a lot of information out there if you're interested. And if you're interested in getting involved, please let me or Matt know. And good question. Thanks for asking. You can get involved. There are many different ways that you can get involved, whether that's volunteering, no matter what kind of skill set you have, we can use you. We have a room for water monitors, for dragonfly monitors, on invasive species management. As you can see here, lots of options. Planning, grant writing, all of the stuff. There's definitely there's a place for you. If you're interested in our board, you can sit directly on the board of directors, or you can sit on a committee and help plan things like Rob Sugar River Ramble. And you can also become a member, which is a really, really good way to support this organization.
On that topic, we have another poll.
Oh, great.
Are you currently a member? I actually am. I'm a member, and I'm also on staff. So here we go. And if you don't know, we can answer that question for you. A lot of members. Yes, you bet I am. No, but I'm interested. There's no choice. Of course you're interested. If you're here, you're interested. So thank you. Okay, give it another 20 seconds. We're at 11 to 12. That's pretty much everyone we're going to get. So we got 9 members and 2 people that are interested but are not currently members. So
fantastic. And another way to get involved, one of our organization or community partners, Miller and Sons Supermarket in Verona, is hosting a fundraiser for us. So when you do your regular weekly grocery shopping, you can donate a few bucks at the check lanes. We'd really appreciate it. Miller's is working. They're really great. They have really helped and supported a lot of what we do over the years. So even if you don't shop there, you can make a trip over just to see them. They're great.
Get lunch at the deli. Buy some donuts.
And thank you all for joining us. You can join a breakout room. We'll open those in 1 minute. And you can either socialize with other members or with staff, or you can ask a question. So we'll have a breakout. Wade will remain in this main room. Any questions for him, you can just stay right on in here. And then Matt and I will each have our own breakout rooms. If you have programmatic questions or just anything you want to talk about related to anything that any of us talked about, feel free to head over to one of those breakouts.
All right, I'll open those breakout sessions up in a second here. Here we go. They should be open to everyone. So like